Here's episode 3 of Through My Eyes. Today we're going to be looking at some of Nico Mannion's pick and roll clips, what he looks at, kind of the details, the nuances that I look at when I watch film and when I watch guards. And so here's his first clip in their game versus Arizona State. He's going to get a transition drag. I'm going to slow it up. So he's coming down in transition. He's looking inside, good post up. That's a good job getting to the X, way to occupy a defender. Zeke Naji, I think is his name. He sets this whole thing up by getting to the middle of the paint. He forces him to help, and that means that he's going to be late on guarding the pick and roll, which exactly he is. Nico's looking at. Nico sees that. He just gets to his left. I know he likes that left pull up, that quick 1-2, because he sees how low number 4 is. That 1-2 pull up and knocks it down. It's all about angles, and you gotta be able to make split-second decisions as a guard, and that's what the best guards in the history of the game. They have great reaction time. They understand. They see things ahead. They anticipate what the next play is. But Nico comes off a down screen right here, free him up a little bit, and then they run this little side pick and roll. So first things first, when I see a defender like this, I'm gonna try to drag him out as far as I can. If I can drag him out all the way out here and just get a pop man wide open. Zeke's not necessarily the greatest shooter, but he can make a play. It's going to force the help defense to make a decision of whether to pick him up in that split second that Tyler Bay is going to recover, or if they're just going to leave him wide open, he can get going downhill and possibly dump it off or make a driving kick or even finish it at the rim. And also, as Nico's got to read. And right here would have been the perfect time. As soon as you see the guy guarding the screener, if he's doing that little soft hedge, that flat hedge, and he's coming out with you guys, as soon as you see him go back, that's the perfect time to attack, because McKinley Wright is not necessarily in a position to stay in front. He's still trying to recover, still trying to get in front after getting screened. And right here, if you get going downhill, you see him, you can even run him into him. But Nico just hits a tough shot. I mean, that little Hezo Mello, keep it on the side of your hip. Right, left. I like this finish. This is a great shot right here. He just has these. Hand down, man down. Here's a nice little wash action between the freshmen. The White's got to talk. Oregon's got to talk on this one. He doesn't know whether, Peyton doesn't know whether they're switching or whether Chris is going to stay with his man. But they don't talk. Chris is kind of sitting behind a little bit. And then he tries to pick up. But then Nico, right when he tries to pick up, he sees that corner. That's just so much space. You can't give up middle. Giving up middle, not talking on the switch, kind of gave up middle. You see that angle. He's too low. He's got to be up the floor a little bit. Force him into the help. There's 3 defenders over here that can help. Chris got to be up the floor. But Nico gets going downhill. Has a nice little left. Great finish. Great floater. Here's a little transition drag. Nico does a nice little move to kind of set it up. Chris does a good job not biting on anything, just stays in front. He could have ran him off a little bit tighter, and the screener could have been up the floor a little bit, about right there. I would have stopped. That would have been perfect screen right there. He gets a little low. Francis kind of helps, and as soon as he sees Francis start to go back to his man, is when that angle opens up. Anthony's denying. You got to help recover right there. Nico sees that. Anthony's pressed out with his defender, so that lane is just wide open. He gets going downhill, and he just hits a tough floater. I mean, that's just tough. That's good defense. That's just a great shot. I've always been a fan of those kind of unorthodox finishes. Those shots that coaches, when you're growing up, don't necessarily have you work on. Because those, if you can master those and you can get those down, people won't expect them. And I mean, this is just another one of those shots. So Nico gets a switch. He has all the space up top, 9 on the shot clock. He's going to get going downhill. He takes him outside. He gets going down to his left. He loves his left hand. But you see how he kind of Steve Nashes it? That one dribble, just off one. I mean, that's tough. That's tough to guard, because as a defender, you're not expecting him to do that. That's not like a normal shot that people work on and people hit in practice or during the games or whatever. But Nico hits right here, and I've been a fan of working on stuff like this, working on fades, working on all of that, because people just can't. I mean, it's just hard to guard sometimes. And Nico shows it right here. He just gets that 1-2, that Steve Nash. He just finishes it. That's just a great play. 11 on shot clock, 10 on shot clock. They run a little Florida screen. He could have ran him off tighter. A better screen could have been set on this play. But Nico gets going downhill. He loves that left. I don't know what the big right here is doing. I mean, he's just giving up that angle. You got to be a step over. You got to try to stop the ball, especially when it's late shot clock like this. He lets it turn the corner. That inside hand, shot blockers, their tendencies are to try to block your outside hand. So I feel like they expected Nico to go up with his left, but he gets to that little rondo inside right. Good finish high off the glass. Gets the bounce. Always about being a next step ahead. Always anticipating. As a guard, a lot of times, or as a pick and roll ball handler, a lot of the times, you should be reading the guy guarding the screen early. That's who you should be watching. Just see what he does. And you see he's sagging right here. At the last second, they flip the screen to going to his left. He's not expecting it. This guy, he's expecting him to come off right. So he's positioned, so he's to run out. But Nico sees that he's a step behind, and he just gets into that quick pull-up. There's no way to contest that. Late shot clock. He hits it. You can master this shot. It's going to be very tough to guard on all levels. Nobody's really expecting you to go off one unless you're like floating it in the lane, around the lane, but if you're by the elbow, lane line extended, elbow extended, wherever you are, you go off one. I mean, I know I'm not expecting that. And that's kind of like what I was talking about earlier these are shots that I think that guys should be working on more because they're just hard to guard. They're not necessarily the most ideal shots, but if you can work on it and you can hit it, Steve Nash made a living off it, then you can get it down, you can get buckets, easy buckets. He turns it down, gets going down, late shot clock. You know he loves his left. Gets downhill, he just goes off one. People are expecting that 1-2 pull up, which will be a lot easier to block. You go off one. This shot blocker can't really time you, and this guy doesn't. I mean, he can't really time the block shot either. But he goes off one, gets to that little runner. I mean, shoot, if you work on that, bring it out. I think that's a great shot as long as you work on it. I don't think there's really any bad shots as long as you work on them. Then they're good shots. Once again, Nico's reading the guy guarding the screen. He's watching him. He sees him. You see how far back he is? I mean, if you first of all, as a ball handler, if you get him that low and this guy's all the way down there, I mean, it's a jumper. It's either a pull up right there if he goes over, or it's a pull up right behind the screen if he goes under. It's a jumper. This guy's got to be up the floor a little bit. I know his feet can't be that slow. You got to play some type of defense. You can't just let him get this, but he goes under the screen. Nico sees it. He just pulls up behind and hits the long 2.